The Wright Brothers. 7 prosperity lessons that helped me reach my first million. The rain was hammering against the windows of my cramped studio apartment when I received the eviction notice. 3 months behind on rent, credit cards maxed out, and my startup had just failed spectacularly. I sat there, staring at that piece of paper, feeling like my dreams of success were as impossible as human flight once seemed. That night, unable to sleep, I found myself reading about 2 bicycle mechanics from Ohio who changed the world, Wilbur and Orville Wright. As I dove deeper into their story, something shifted inside me. These weren't privileged inventors with unlimited resources. They were ordinary men who achieved the extraordinary through principles that, I realized, could transform anyone's life. If you're reading this feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or wondering if success is even possible for someone like you, I need you to know something. I was exactly where you are now. And the lessons I learned from the Wright brothers didn't just help me survive. They helped me thrive beyond my wildest dreams. Before we dive in, if this resonates with you, make sure to subscribe. I share stories and strategies every week that can transform your mindset and your life. Hit that subscribe button now, because what you're about to read might be the catalyst you've been waiting for. Lesson 1. Start in your own backyard. The bicycle shop principle. The Wright brothers didn't begin in some fancy laboratory or with venture capital funding. They started in a bicycle shop in Dayton, Ohio. While others dreamed of flight in ivory towers, Wilbur and Orville were getting their hands dirty, understanding mechanics from the ground up. When I read this, something clicked. I'd been waiting for the perfect moment to start my business. More capital, better connections, the ideal market conditions. But the Wright brothers taught me that prosperity begins exactly where you are, with exactly what you have. I looked around my tiny apartment and asked myself, what's my bicycle shop? The answer was simpler than I thought. I had a laptop, an internet connection, and knowledge about digital marketing that others needed. That night, instead of wallowing in self-pity, I posted on a freelancing platform offering my services. Within 48 hours, I had my first client. It was a small project, just $50 to write some product descriptions, but it was a start. The Wright brothers built bicycles before they built airplanes. They understood that mastery comes from starting where you are and building incrementally. Here's what I learned. Your current situation isn't a limitation. It's your launching pad. The Wright brothers could have complained about not having a proper aeronautical facility. Instead, they used their bicycle shop knowledge to understand balance, control, and propulsion. Every skill you've developed, every challenge you've faced, is preparing you for your breakthrough. The bicycle shop principle transformed my perspective entirely. Instead of seeing my failed startup as a disaster, I began to see it as my bicycle shop, a place where I'd learned invaluable lessons about what doesn't work, which is just as important as knowing what does. I started documenting everything I'd learned from my failure, the marketing strategies that had shown promise, the customer feedback patterns I'd noticed, the operational mistakes I'd made. This failure inventory became the foundation of my consulting practice. Clients weren't just paying for my successes. They were paying for me to help them avoid my mistakes. Within 3 months, I'd gone from facing eviction to making enough to cover my rent and start paying down debt. But more importantly, I'd learned that prosperity doesn't require perfect conditions. It requires the courage to start where you are, with what you have, and build from there. Think about it. What's your bicycle shop? What skills, experiences, or knowledge do you already possess that others might value? Drop a comment below and share. You might be surprised at how valuable your ordinary experience really is. Lesson 2. Embrace systematic experimentation, the wind tunnel approach. While their competitors relied on guesswork and bravado, The Wright brothers built something revolutionary, a wind tunnel. In their bicycle shop, they created a device that allowed them to test over 200 wing designs systematically. They didn't just hope their ideas would work. They tested, measured, and refined relentlessly. This principle hit me like a lightning bolt. In my previous business, I'd been all inspiration and no perspiration. I'd launch products based on hunches, market based on what felt right, and then wonder why nothing stuck. The Wright brothers showed me that prosperity comes from treating your life and business like a laboratory. I decided to become obsessed with data. Every client project became an experiment. I tracked everything: which email subject lines got responses, what pricing structures clients preferred, which service packages sold fastest. I created my own wind tunnel, a simple spreadsheet where I recorded every business experiment and its results. One experiment changed everything. I noticed that clients who paid for a package of services up front were not only more profitable, but also more satisfied with the results. They were more invested, more responsive, and more likely to refer others. This single insight, discovered through systematic testing, allowed me to triple my monthly revenue in just 60 days. But here's what most people miss about the Wright brothers' wind tunnel. It wasn't just about finding what worked. It was about failing fast and cheap. They could test a wing design in minutes instead of risking their lives with each attempt. This is the secret to rapid prosperity. Create systems that let you fail quickly and learn faster. I applied this to every area of my life. Dating? I tracked which conversation topics led to deeper connections. Fitness? I measured which workout routines actually produced results. Personal development? I tested different morning routines to see which one consistently set me up for productive days. The wind tunnel approach taught me that success isn't about being right the first time. It's about creating systems that help you get right faster than everyone else. While my competitors were still guessing, I was iterating based on data. This systematic approach to experimentation became my superpower. When I launched my first digital product, I didn't just create what I thought people wanted. I surveyed my email list, created 3 different versions, and tested them with small groups before the full launch. The result? A $10,000 launch week. More than I'd made in the previous 3 months combined. The Wright brothers spent 3 years testing in their wind tunnel before attempting powered flight. 3 years of what might have looked like not making progress to outsiders. But they understood something profound. The time you spend perfecting your system is never wasted. It's the difference between lucky success and predictable prosperity. Lesson 3. Find your kitty hawk. The power of the right environment. The Wright brothers didn't achieve first flight in Dayton, Ohio. They deliberately chose Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, for its consistent winds and soft sand dunes. They understood that environment matters more than most people realize. This lesson hit me during a particularly frustrating week. I was trying to build my business while surrounded by negative people, working from a cluttered apartment, and constantly distracted by noise and interruptions. I was fighting against my environment instead of leveraging it. If you're struggling right now, I need you to hear this. You're not weak. You might just be in the wrong environment. The Wright brothers were the same brilliant inventors in Dayton as they were in Kitty Hawk, but only one environment allowed their brilliance to take flight. This is exactly why I share these stories every week, to help you identify the environmental factors holding you back. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss next week's deep dive into creating your optimal success environment. I made 3 radical changes. First, I found a co-working space. Yes, it cost money I didn't really have, but being surrounded by other entrepreneurs transformed my energy and productivity. The ROI was immediate. I landed 2 new clients in my first week there, just from casual conversations. Second, I ruthlessly edited my social circle. This was painful. Some of my oldest friends were also my biggest dream killers. They meant well, but their constant warnings about being realistic and playing it safe were poisoning my mindset. I didn't cut them off entirely, but I limited my exposure and sought out people who were building the kind of life I wanted. Third, I optimized my physical environment for success. I created a morning routine that put me in peak state before I even opened my laptop. I designed my workspace to minimize distractions and maximize focus. I even changed my phone wallpaper to a picture of the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk. A constant reminder that environment enables achievement. The results were staggering. My productivity doubled. My confidence soared. Opportunities seemed to appear out of nowhere, though really they'd always been there. I just couldn't see them from my old environment. Within 6 months of finding my Kitty Hawk, I hit my first $10,000 month. The same person, the same skills, but a radically different environment produced radically different results. But here's the deeper lesson. The Wright brothers didn't just find Kitty Hawk. They traveled there repeatedly. They understood that sometimes you need to physically relocate to where success is more likely. For me, this eventually meant moving to a city with a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem. The connections, opportunities, and energy I found there accelerated my growth exponentially. Lesson 4. Partner with complementary strengths. The power of 2. Wilbur was the visionary, the big picture thinker who could see possibilities others missed. Orville was the mechanical genius, the detail-oriented executor who could bring visions to life. Neither could have achieved flight alone. Together, they changed the world. For the longest time, I believed the myth of the solo entrepreneur. I thought needing help was a sign of weakness. I tried to be everything: the visionary, the executor, the marketer, the accountant, the customer service rep. I was drowning in tasks that drained my energy and distracted from my strengths. The Wright brothers taught me that prosperity accelerates when you partner with people whose strengths complement your weaknesses. But finding the right partner isn't about finding someone just like you. It's about finding someone whose abilities fill your gaps. I identified my core strengths: strategy, communication, and relationship building. My weaknesses: details, systems, and follow-through. Instead of trying to fix these weaknesses, I found my Orville, a virtual assistant who thrived on creating order from chaos. The transformation was immediate. While I focused on landing clients and developing strategies, she handled the implementation. Details that had always bogged me down. Our combined efforts produced results neither of us could have achieved alone. This partnership principle extends beyond business. The Wright brothers showed me that every area of life improves when you stop trying to be everything and start building complementary relationships. I found a workout partner who loved planning routines, something I hated, while I provided the motivation and energy to keep us both accountable. I partnered with a financial advisor who handled the details of investing while I focused on earning. Each partnership multiplied my effectiveness in that area of life. But here's the crucial insight. The Wright brothers' partnership worked because they shared the same ultimate vision. They might have had different strengths, but they were both committed to achieving flight. Every partnership I've formed since learning this lesson has been evaluated through this lens. Do we share the same destination, even if we bring different vehicles to get there? This principle helped me break through my first revenue ceiling. When I partnered with a technical expert to create online courses, my revenue jumped from $10,000 to $25,000 per month within 90 days. I brought the content and marketing expertise. He brought the technical execution. Together, we created products neither of us could have built alone. The myth of the self-made millionaire is exactly that, a myth. Even the Wright brothers, perhaps the most famous independent inventors in history, achieved their dreams through partnership. Your breakthrough might not require more effort. It might just require the right partner. Who could be your Wilbur? Or Orville? What strengths do you need to complement your own? Share your thoughts in the comments. You might even find your ideal partner among other readers. Lesson 5. Ignore the experts when your vision sees further. The most respected scientists of the Wright brothers era declared human flight impossible. Lord Kelvin, president of the Royal Society, stated in 1895 that heavier-than-air flying machines are impossible. The Wright brothers had no advanced degrees, no prestigious backing, no expert credentials. What they had was vision backed by relentless experimentation. This lesson saved my business and my sanity. When I started scaling, I hired a business expert who came highly recommended. He looked at my unconventional approach to client service and declared it unsustainable and unprofessional. He insisted I needed to follow the proven model of his other successful clients. For weeks, I doubted myself. Who was I to question someone with an MBA and 20 years of experience? But something felt wrong. My gut screamed that his cookie-cutter approach would kill what made my business special, and I remembered the Wright brothers. They didn't ignore experts out of arrogance. They simply trusted their own systematic observations over theoretical pronouncements. They had data from their wind tunnel that contradicted expert opinion. Who were they going to believe, the experts or their own eyes? I decided to trust my data over his credentials. My unprofessional approach of treating each client like a partner instead of a transaction was producing 90% retention rates. My unsustainable practice of over-delivering was generating referrals that eliminated my need for cold outreach. The numbers didn't lie, even if they contradicted conventional wisdom. Here's what the Wright brothers taught me about expertise. Respect it, learn from it, but never let it override your own validated experience. The experts told them flight was impossible while they were literally building the solution in their bicycle shop. I politely parted ways with the consultant and doubled down on my approach. Within a year, I'd built $1 million business doing exactly what the experts said wouldn't work. But more importantly, I'd learned to trust my own systematic observations over anyone's theoretical expertise. This principle has guided every major decision since. When experts said email marketing was dead, my data showed it driving 60% of my revenue. When gurus insisted I needed to be on every social platform, my experiments proved that mastering one platform produced better results than being mediocre. On 5. The Wright brothers didn't succeed despite ignoring experts. They succeeded because they knew an expert opinion was based on theory rather than experimentation. They respected the laws of physics while questioning the assumptions about what those laws meant for human flight. But here's the nuance most people miss. The Wright brothers didn't ignore all expertise. They studied everything they could about flight, from birds to existing glider designs. They ignored conclusions while embracing knowledge. This selective skepticism, questioning verdicts while respecting evidence, became my operating principle. Lesson 6. Persist through invisible progress. The December 17th principle. On December 14, 1903, the Wright brothers' first attempt at powered flight ended in a crash. Wilbur was at the controls, and the flyer stalled, hitting the ground hard enough to require repairs. Most people would have seen this as failure. The Wright brothers saw it as data. 3 days later, on December 17th, they achieved the impossible. 4 flights, each longer than the last, with Orville's final flight covering 852 feet in 59 seconds. The 3 days between crash and triumph perfectly encapsulate the prosperity principle most people miss. Success requires persisting through periods of invisible progress. I call this the December 17th principle, and it saved me during the darkest period of my entrepreneurial journey. After my first $25,000 month, I thought I'd cracked the code. Then came 3 consecutive months of declining revenue. $18,000. Then $12,000. Then barely $8,000. Every strategy that had worked stopped working. Every sure thing client fell through. If you're in a valley right now, wondering if you should give up, I need you to understand something. The Wright brothers crashed on December 14th. They flew on December 17th. Your December 17th might be just 3 days away, but only if you persist through your December 14th. This is why I create this content, to be the voice that reminds you to keep going when everything seems to be falling apart. Hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss these crucial reminders when you need them most. During those 3 declining months, I couldn't see it, but invisible progress was happening. The clients I was losing were actually the wrong clients. High maintenance, low profit relationships that were drowning my business. The strategies that stopped working were actually unsustainable tactics that would have eventually burned me out in the darkness. I was being forced to build real foundations, better systems, clearer positioning, stronger boundaries, higher standards. None of this showed up in my bank account immediately, but like the Wright brothers repairing their flyer between December 14th and 17th, I was preparing for sustainable flight. Month 4 hit like December 17th. Not only did revenue recover, it exploded. $32,000, then $41,000, then my first $50,000 month. The invisible progress had been building pressure like a volcano, and when it finally erupted, the results were exponential. But here's what the December 17th principle really taught me. The gap between failure and success is often measured in days, not years. The Wright brothers didn't spend another decade redesigning after their crash. They made adjustments and tried again immediately. Most people quit during their December 14th, never realizing their December 17th was imminent. This principle now guides how I view every setback. When a product launch fails, I don't retreat from months of soul-searching. I analyze the data, make adjustments, and launch again within days. When a client relationship ends badly, I don't question my entire business model. I refine my screening process and move forward immediately. The Wright brothers taught me that persistence isn't about blindly doing the same thing repeatedly. It's about rapid iteration based on feedback. They persisted intelligently, making micro-adjustments between attempts. This is how invisible progress becomes visible breakthrough. Not through stubborn repetition, but through persistent refinement. Lesson 7. Success is just the beginning, the post-flight vision. Here's what most people don't know about the Wright brothers. Their first flight on December 17, 1903, was witnessed by only 5 people. The world largely ignored or dismissed their achievement. It would take years of continued innovation, demonstration, and persistence before their accomplishment was recognized and revolutionized human transportation. This might be the most important lesson of all. When I hit my first million in revenue, I expected to feel different, complete, validated. Instead, I felt oddly empty. I'd achieved the goal that had consumed me for years. And now what? The Wright brothers taught me that reaching your goal isn't the end. It's barely the beginning. They didn't achieve flight and then rest on their laurels. They immediately began improving their design, extending flight times, and developing practical applications. They understood that breakthrough success is just permission to play at a higher level. This is the millionaire mindset that changed everything for me. Success isn't a destination you reach. It's a platform you build to launch even greater contributions to the world. After hitting my first million, I faced a choice. I could coast, maintaining what I built, and enjoying the fruits of my labor. Or I could use this success, as the Wright brothers did, as a foundation for even greater impact. I chose growth. The systems that had generated my first million became the curriculum for courses that helped others build their own six-figure businesses. The network I'd built became a community where entrepreneurs could support each other's growth. The confidence I'd gained became the courage to tackle even bigger challenges. But here's the profound realization. The Wright brothers didn't pursue flight for fame or fortune. They were obsessed with solving a problem that fascinated them. Their prosperity came from pursuing purpose, not profit. This alignment between passion and prosperity is the real secret to sustainable success. Today, my business generates multiple 7 figures annually. But more importantly, it's helped hundreds of entrepreneurs build their own sustainable businesses. The Wright brothers didn't just achieve flight, they gave humanity wings. Your success, when aligned with purpose, can do the same? Your December 17th moment awaits as I write this. It's been exactly 7 years since I received that eviction notice. 7 years since I discovered the Wright brothers' story and began applying their principles to my life. The transformation hasn't just been financial, though going from facing eviction to financial freedom certainly matters. The real transformation has been internal. I've learned that prosperity isn't about having perfect conditions. It's about starting where you are with what you have. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about failing fast and learning faster. It's not about going it alone. It's about finding partners who complement your strengths. Most importantly, I've learned that your current circumstances don't determine your potential. The Wright brothers were bicycle mechanics who achieved what the world's greatest scientists declared impossible. What impossible dream are you carrying that the world needs you to achieve? If this story resonated with you, you're exactly who I create this content for. Subscribe now and join thousands of others who are applying these principles to transform their lives. Drop a comment sharing which lesson hit you the hardest. I read and respond to every single one. The practical application. Your flight plan, the Wright brothers' story, isn't just inspiring, it's instructional. Here's how to apply these 7 lessons starting today. Week 1. Identify your bicycle shop. List every skill, experience, and piece of knowledge you possess. Identify which of these could solve problems for others. Start offering your services in the simplest way possible. Remember, the Wright brothers built bicycles before airplanes. 2. Create your wind tunnel setup, a simple tracking system for your experiments. Test one new approach to your biggest challenge. Measure results objectively, not emotionally. Iterate based on data, not opinions. Week 3. Design your Kitty Hawk. Audit your environment, people, places, and practices. Remove 1 negative environmental factor. Add 1 positive environmental support. Notice how the same effort produces different results. Week 4. Seek your Orville or Wilbur list. Your top 3 strengths and weaknesses. Identify what complementary strengths you need. Reach out to 1 potential partner or supporter. Remember, partnership multiplies prosperity. Month 2. Challenge the experts. Identify 1 piece of conventional wisdom holding you back. Test and on alternative approach based on your experience. Trust your validated data over theoretical expertise. Document what actually works for you. Month 3. Embrace your December 14th. 3. Frame your current setback as data, not failure. Make specific adjustments based on what you've learned. Attempt again within days, not months. Remember, December 17th is often just 3 days away. Let success be your beginning. Define what flight means for you beyond money. Plan how your success can enable others. Breakthroughs. Build systems that create impact beyond income. Remember, the Wright brothers gave humanity wings. The choice before you. 7 years ago, I sat in a cramped apartment with an eviction notice, believing success was for other people. People with advantages I didn't have. People with resources I couldn't access. People with talents I didn't possess. The Wright brothers showed me I was wrong. They proved that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things when they apply the right principles with persistent action. They demonstrated that prosperity isn't about privilege. It's about perspective, persistence, and purpose. You have that same choice before you know. You can close this article and return to whatever you were doing, letting these words fade into another piece of forgotten content. Or you can decide that this is your December 14th moment, the crash that precedes your breakthrough. The principles that took the Wright brothers from a bicycle shop to the sky are the same principles that can take you from wherever you are to wherever you want to be. The question isn't whether these principles work. History has proven they do. The question is whether you'll apply them. Your December 17th moment is waiting. Your Kitty Hawk is calling. Your breakthrough is building with every experiment, every partnership, every moment of intelligent persistence. The Wright brothers didn't just dream of flight. They systematically achieved it. Now it's your turn. What impossible dream will you make possible? What breakthrough will you bring to the world? Subscribe now to join our community of dreamers who do. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, on December 14th, 1903, powered human flight was still impossible. 3 days later, it wasn't. Your 3 days start now.